Welcome to the very first episode of Ben's MMA Corner. Your host here, you guessed it, Ben. And this is brought to you by the B&B Sports Show podcast, which is now becoming the Ben and Brian Show. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have UFC 250 just aired the other night. And what can I say? It was highlighted by the fight of the championship of the featherweight, Amanda Lioness Nunes versus Felicia Spencer. We're going to kick this off with the start of the main card that set the tone for the entire night. What an amazing fight that was. First fight, Eddie Wineland versus Sean O'Malley. Just ended up being a round one KO. Sean O'Malley hit a right straight that just landed fucking clean and cleaned Eddie Wineland's clock. Knocked him the fuck out. Looked to be the KO of the night. Shit, I thought it may be a KO of the year. It was a walk-up knockout. Stunned everybody that witnessed it live and everybody that watched it on PPV. But it ended up getting unseated by a fight coming up. We'll tell you about here in a minute. But yeah, just crazy. What a fight that was. What a riot. I mean, it blew my mind. Probably blew yours too. Next fight, we had a fight between Neil Magny and Anthony Rocco Martin, and that was a welterweight bout won by Neil Magny via decision. Next fight was the bantamweight fight between Aljamain Sterling and Corey Sandhagen. Basically, this fight was a pretty dominant performance by Aljamain. He came out very strong. He put a lot of pressure on Corey and took his back right away, locked him up in a body lock, body triangle, took him straight to the ground from there. Pretty much was working him in the submission. At first, it looked like he was going to have him submitted, but then you realize he was just on his chin and hurting him. He let go of it a little bit. Corey kind of got out. But then being so fresh as he was, still not letting go of that body triangle, just taking the fucking air out of him so you couldn't really have a whole lot of fights. And then just gave up the neck and got choked out. Wow, submitted. He almost got choked completely out. Very dominant performance by Aljamain. And that will bring us to the fight I was kind of mentioning earlier. Co-main event of the evening, which was a bantamweight fight between Rafael Assunção and Cody No Love Garbrandt. First, I'd like to say it was odd to me at the start because I didn't, from what happened prior to this with Cody, he was on a 3-fight losing streak, all via KOs, 2 of them by way of TJ Dillashaw and 1 by Pedro Munoz. He was still the favorite of the fight, and Assunção was 4th ranked, while Garbrandt was 9th ranked, and on a 3-fight losing streak. It seems really odd that Garbrandt was the favorite, but Garbrandt would later go on to prove the fact that why he was favored. And let's just say that the first round was a pretty close battle. They're pretty fast. Garbrandt looked to be his old form right away. People could tell. Fast, evasive. They traded a lot of blows back and forth throughout the first round. Second round, started off, it was looking even closer on the cards between the two. And then at the fact that end of round 2, a fucking buzzer beater of a fucking knockout by Cody Garbrandt, who just fucking waylaid a Sun Tzu with a right, and it was crisp on the fucking button, knocked him the fuck out. Okay, Sean O'Malley knockout of Wineland was pretty brutal, looked pretty good, but a Sun Tzu sitting in his, they had him sitting on the stool, and he fucking was slouched over still. They tried to wake his ass up for a while. Garbrandt looks to be in his old form again when he was champion. Fast, evasive, powerful hits. Will he keep it up once he gets back up into fighting even more top competition? Remains to be seen. But at this point, you guys can be a judge and go ahead and lay it on me in the comments too. What you think? Do you think Garbrandt's back to himself? Will he remain consistent and on a win streak? Did he get rid of his old demons? Because before he'd fight, and he was just fighting with a lot of emotion. Like he's, especially with the Dillashaw thing, they had that whole camp war. They had thinking that Dillashaw betrayed him in camp, and that whole thing seemed like he got a little too emotional, too wrapped up in it, and who knows? Maybe he moved on, got it out of the system, back to his old self. So now the main card, the main event of the evening, which was a featherweight bout between the Gustafsson trademark. I just came up with that shit. Gustafsson, the greatest female fighter of all time, Amanda the Lioness Nunes. She took on Felicia Spencer in what appeared to be a very dominant performance by Amanda Nunes. She just ran the show. I mean, she fucking dominated her on stand-up, took her down quick, was pounding on her. It was very, very one-sided. It ended up being a decision, but there was no doubt in anybody's mind who won. There was no what ifs, whatnots that some fights have where some people are like, well, he won, oh no, he won, or she won, and whatever. There's no disputing, no disparagement between it. She dominated the fuck out of it. She is by far the greatest female fighter of all time. I'm saying it now. I'm sure a lot of you agree with me for the fact that she's on this fucking train that just isn't gonna get derailed anytime soon. For me, anyways, I feel that's the case. I mean, who can stop her? Who's next? She's 2 weight class champ. I can't think of anybody in either class that could fucking even come remotely close into beating her, unless it. But you know, the MMA game with the lucky knockout could possibly do it. But I don't see that happening in the foreseeable future at all. Very dominant performance. It was pretty crazy night. Possibly the Garbrandt knockout, obviously, is the knockout of the night. Possibly up to this point, it is the knockout of the year candidate. With all the other fights that are coming up, it's remain to be seen. Keep in mind, we still have the Fight Island card coming up in the foreseeable future. Apparently, it might be UFC 251. It could be that close with all this pandemic bullshit going on. It'll be hard to tell if it is or not. I'll be excited, you know. Cue the fucking Mortal Kombat theme song, right, baby? Fight Island. I mean, everybody's thinking this. Everybody's seen the first Mortal Kombat movie where they went to the island. Just have the fucking combat. Moving on to the next topic, we have news in the MMA world, UFC, obviously. Jon Jones and Jorge Masvidal have both been on a Twitter exchange with Dana White about money. When I was first scoping out things on Twitter with Jon Jones. He had a feud, verbal feud on Twitter between himself and Francis Ngannou. It was going to be a heavyweight bout. Jon Jones was going to break from the light heavyweight, step up a class, and fight Francis Ngannou. Everybody's seen that. Everybody thought that was going to happen. Then all of a sudden, at left field, he starts fighting with Dana White. At first, it was the only thing I saw at the moment was it's crazy how he's lying about this. I've never asked for that much money of this ever before. They were going back and forth. Apparently, Dana White's stating, I should say, that Jon Jones was asking way too much money that he should get as a UFC fighter. Jon Jones obviously disagrees, and a released pay salary per fight, released of Jon Jones's history of how much money he's made, and as fighters and how much the UFC, I feel, generates in pay-per-view earnings, it doesn't seem like a whole lot, especially Jon Jones. Jon Jones is the most dominant fighter. I mean, obviously, I just talked about Amanda Nunes, but besides her, Jon Bones Jones is the most dominant light heavyweight there is in history of UFC. The only loss on his record is a disqualification, which he was fucking completely dominating that match. It happened to be illegal elbows he threw down. His first Matt the Hammer Hamill, but it wasn't even going to be close. If he didn't catch the DQ, there's no fucking way Hamill could have came back. It was a dominating performance by Jones. And I know a lot of you are like, well, what about Dominic Reyes' fight? I feel like he lost to Dominic Reyes. It was back and forth. It was a good performance by Reyes, don't get me wrong. But if you're leaving it to the judges as what ifs, it's hard. It's hard to win, and it's hard to go against, the champ, I'd say. For me, anyways. Like, if it was like a dominating decision like Amanda Nunes just had defended her belt, if Reyes dominated Jones like that, then I could see it being overturned. He wins the light heavyweight championship. It's too close. Jones, I felt, had some good hits and good shots, and Reyes did too. Don't get me wrong; it was a good fight. But on that, so with the feuding over the money, Jon Jones later released a tweet stating that he is going to relinquish the light heavyweight belt and step away from UFC, actually demanded release from the UFC. Is he going to follow through with it? So far, it seems like it is. It sounded like he did, but I don't know. You get that I didn't shit. Conor McGregor, who also just came in the news, retiring again. That's why I said, did he really or did he really not? Because obviously everybody knows McGregor is retired 5,000 fucking times and came back every time. I'm fighting, I'm not fighting. I'm fighting, I'm not fighting. I'm Irish, I don't give a fuck. Okay, I don't give a fuck about you. I'm retiring because I have 11 men. I'm coming back. Came back, and then he had that fight with Cerrone and fucking dominated Cerrone. It was an interesting thing to see Cowboy get dismantled like that, because Cowboy is he's a staple fighter in UFC. He is Stronghold. He's a tough fucking guy. And to see how he lost like that to McGregor was insane. McGregor looked like he was in the line to fight whoever the winner between Nurmagomedov and Justin Gaethje. Is it because he just wants a money fight, or he wants to fight Nurmagomedov? Why can't I say that right? Nurmagomedov. Is it because he wanted to fight him right away and that Gaethje should take a fucking backseat because I'm Conor fucking McGregor? Is that why he retired? I don't know. Maybe he'll release more statements saying why he retired. And, of course, 6 months fucking later, he'll be unretired and fighting again. And also, Jorge Masvidal has been in a Twitter battle with Dana White as well, talking about how he isn't getting paid enough either. He's also demanded release from the UFC. Is this going to be a start of a trend? Is more fighters going to come out and it's like, hey, look, we don't have this fighters union. We're not getting paid near as much as we fucking think we should. Is it going to be a start of maybe people negotiating better contracts on their behalf, getting better earnings? Could be. It could be the start of this. Or Dana White just says, fuck you to both of you and lets them both go. Which I just don't see that happening. I mean, he's obviously going to say you're more welcome back if you want to come back under my terms, but if not, I don't know. That's remained to be seen, because they're two of the biggest polarizing people. You know, Jones, the greatest light heavyweight of all time. Jorge Masvidal with the fastest knockout in UFC history with that fucking flying knee that just boom, pasted Ben Askren, and they gave him 2 extra on the 2-piece with the 3-piece soda. Highlight my trailer if you've seen it. That was a fucking crazy knockout. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if he lets him go or if he actually finally caves and says, okay, I'll start paying you more. Speaking of retired fighters, not staying retired, another fighter by the name of Alexander the Mauler Gustafsson is coming out of retirement to fight in the heavyweight division against Fabricio Verdun. Not an easy fight to start off with your heavyweight battle, but I feel Alexander is up to the challenge. Obviously, the increase in weight, he's not going to cut weight. I don't know how much he even cuts to get to 205. I don't know what his walk-on weight is at the top of my head. He's going to generate more power. He's got great stand-up. I feel he could be a force to reckon with in the heavyweight division. I feel like he's got some good reach, and he's got some good stand-up skills to stack up against all the other guys, even Stipe. Stipe obviously has very powerful hands and can knock a motherfucker out. Stipe, a great champion, good fighter. Alexander remain to be seen if he's great at if he's great at the heavyweight division. I think he can maintain it. All right, we'll see. And also, this brings me to other news unrelated to UFC, obviously. Yet another fighter who is coming out of retirement for another fight. Everybody knows it's been in big fucking news the past few months, couple months, I should say. Iron Mike Tyson is coming back for a boxing match at the ripe young age of 53. Nostalgia, everybody's pumped about it. Living back to the glory days of when Iron Mike was just fucking knocking motherfuckers out. Is he going to be back to that Killer Mike back then? I don't know. I mean, there's a viral video that's out of him sparring. Does look hella good. It does. He looks fast. He looks like he could still tune my ass up. That goes without saying. It's Iron fucking Mike. But versus another boxer is still who's younger than him, I don't know. It'll remain to be seen. Would I be stoked to see Iron Mike knock a motherfucker out? Yes. I'd be kind of excited. The fact is, if he comes out and he just fucking destroys this guy, are we gonna see Iron Mike stay, as a stable of just picking big name fights, not just obviously not going back for the fucking title again. But he could just pick out big name fights, big name draws, pick and choose, I don't know. Be interesting. Interesting to see that for sure. And I know a lot of you guys probably feel the same way. Old Iron Mike coming back with a vengeance. So, anyways, I guess that really kind of concludes this week's episode. I shouldn't say this week's episode. This episode. I'll be updating you with more as more fights come to happen. I'll be going over different types of MMA, not only UFC. A vast majority will be UFC because that's really kind of what's going on, and that's kind of what's happening with all the COVID bullshit. It's really kind of the sport's back. It's still happening as you wait. Obviously, you know me from B&B Sports Show podcast, how me and Brian talk about NFL quite extensively. If you heard some of our older episodes in Anchor, we also talk about college football. And really, this concludes this episode. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't yet. And I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on this UFC 250 card that just happened. And possibly let me know if you have an excitement for this Fight Island that's coming up. Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm your host, Ben. And this has been Ben's MMA Corner.